Shot. Hi guys, Jason Smith here, down at Bury Golf Range in Suffolk, and today we're doing a match-up between the old trusty JPX900 Forged from Mizuno and the new epically priced Epic Pro from Callaway. Now, both of these clubs are 27 degrees, so loft wise they're exactly the same. Length of shaft wise, they're both 6 irons. If I put the scoring lines up against each other, I would say maybe 1/3 of an inch extra when it comes to the Callaway over the more traditional, shall we say, when it comes to lengths and lofts normally, Mizuno. Although these are both 27 degrees. This is the Pro head and this is the normal JPX900. Right, now I have reviews of this already on my channel, so if you want to have a look at that one individually, click on channel, have a look. I'm not going to go into too much detail in regards to all these clubs, if not the reviews are going to be massively long. So we're just going to go through a few different things when it comes to the 900 Forged. It is forged, lovely little thin top line, medium to thin sole. It's a JPX line, but gone are the days where JPX meant sort of massively chunky and helpful, especially with the JPX900 Tour. They are definitely not fat and helpful. The 900 Tour is probably one of the hardest ones to hit when it comes to JPX. It's very much so like an MP5, just satin look. But this is a 900 Forged, so it's got a little bit of an undercut cavity. They blend out in the rest of the set, but it's supposed to give a little bit of help. When I did the initial test on this one, I found I just struggled a little bit with overall peak height. These ones seem to launch it just a fraction lower, but revisit them again. So it's got a slightly longer blade length than I'd like. Got this in the Project X LZ 6.0, just because that's the first one I grabbed. And done well, I've got to do another video on shaft, so yeah, don't worry about the shaft, it makes no difference for me. But this is what I prefer, the feel of, I guess. But we'll hit a few of these just to let you know how they feel. So, we've got a bumblebee. Don't get in the way of the ball, if not there'll be one less bumblebee in the world. Right, 6 iron. Feels nice off the face. They do feel lovely off the face, to be fair. It's got a little bit of boron in it. So, Mizuno first introduced the boron, when was it? I think it was MP25, around that area. And they've just fell in love with the idea that they can inject boron into it, not many parts per million, but enough to make it a little bit feel a bit more clippy off the face, but slightly faster ball speeds, and also, they say, slightly more forgiving off the face. Now, when you hit this club in the middle, it feels as good as anything else out there. That one's very, very fractionally toey, but you can feel it. I like the feel of these, yes I do. It's a Mizuno. Mizuno have never really made a bad iron, ever. Even if you go to their really chunky, easy cast option. I'm not a great fan of those, no I'm not. But they're for a certain type of player. We'll hit one more with this. Yeah, nice shot right in the middle. Middle, so that's going... oh, just left a target, maybe a yard or two. But yeah, I love the feel of these. When it comes to the flight, they're just not quite as high as I would like. It's all different, on different days you hit differently, yes you do. But, no, I like these. So, what we're going to do is we're going to swap over now to the hellishly expensive, very, very expensive Callaway Epic Pro. 6 iron again, so we do like for like, 27 degrees, like 27 degrees. So what we're going to do is we're going to just do some sort of feel bits first, and I'm going to go hit some on GC2 with my Gameable Vice Pro, and get an idea if these epic bits, these sort of exo cage bars at the back to try and gain more ball speed and all the different things they've done with this head. I mean, it's you'd have to go on Callaway's website to get an exact understanding of what this club. I mean, they've just been given crazy amounts of money to go and say, right, you make the best iron possible, and this is what they've come up with. Now, this has got the cup face 70, their new design of cup face, 360 cup face, try and make it more forgiving and a little bit faster off the face. Well, we'll hit this and have a feel. Yeah, feels nice. I like, looks wise, I prefer this over the JPX900 for one reason. It's the blade length. It looks a lot more stubby and a lot more short. The JPX900 Forged just feels and looks just a little bit too stretched out. Now, whether that's when it comes to forgiveness, I don't know. Is it a situation of where they're thinking, let's make the blade length a little bit bigger to make it look a bit more forgiving? Also, does it help increase the sweet spot? I don't know. Human beings are so hard to measure when it comes to that, but the looks wise of this, it's a lovely thin top line, lovely medium to thin. Actually, I'd say it's near enough slightly thinner than the JPX900 Forged. I'm getting used to the back now. The more I hit this club, it did bother me to start with because it's very, very busy. We don't worry me anymore. I look at it and I think actually the finish on it is, I'm not going to say epic, because it's not. It's just amazingly good. They've really sort of attention to detail, but then again, for an iron that costs this amount of money, it should be very, very finished well, because yeah, they do cost a serious amount of money. When it comes to the shaft, I got this in the KBS Tour, where it says S taper, but it is in the shape of a dollar, and it's because they're expensive with the expensive heads. Yeah, stiff plus 125 grams. Hit another one. Oh, I caught that one out the bottom. Flew straight at target, just a little bit low, because I caught that one out the bottom. Feel wise, I could definitely tell where I hit that one. Hit it in the middle, but a little bit low on the face. But it gives you feedback, and that's what I like. I like a club that can give me feedback. Some of the big old bats that you get don't give you a great deal of feedback, so when you come to hit it, you're not necessarily sure what part of the face you hit it from. Well, one more before we go to do some numbers. That's lovely. Middle, hitting target, yes. Again, I have to say, when it comes to feel, I'd have to say that's very much so like the MP25. Now, I love the MP25 with the boron. Had a little bit more of a clicky feel to it. I do prefer the JPX900 Tour, the MP5, MP4, those feel like buttery soft ones. But that's a lovely club. Well, it should do for the money it costs. But what we're going to do now, we're going to go hit some numbers. GC2, Vice Pro, real ball, see how it works. Alright guys, numbers time for the shootout matchup between the JPX900 Forged against the Epic Pro massively expensive irons. I will keep on harping on about how expensive they are, because they are just crazy. Right, we're going to do the JPX900 Forged first. I hit a batch of shots. Everyone wants bigger data sets, and where I can, I will always try and include a few more shots, because it's better for everyone, because people want bigger data sets. Anyway, I've got 10 or so here, and going back to how I used to hit this one, I was worried about the height that it goes, and to be fair, on today's performance, because bearing in mind people, you perform differently on different days. So some days you might hit lower than others, sometimes you might hit higher than others. The only thing you can do is compare products on the same day, because at least then if you're going to deliver in slightly more handling one day to the next, well, if you're still on one day, you're doing this amount. If you're comparing 2 or 3 different products, you're doing the same amount on that given day. So you can still compare. If all 3 are going slightly lower, but one's going slightly lower than the rest, then you know anyway. Right, so looking at the ball speeds, 127, 15 degrees of launch, tiny little fades. I was doing little tiny cuts. Now I'm talking so tiny that you can't even see them. They're so like the baby straight. Spinning up at 5115. Peak height is actually pretty good today. It's 31.7. Still not quite as high as I'd like, but it was quite, well, it was okay. 44.6 degrees of descent angle, and that's where it just fails a little bit. I'd like to be seeing sort of 45 degrees, just over, something like that, but it's manageable. And it's not spinning too bad, it's spinning at 5.1, so it's manageable. Carry 186 and 1.9 yards offline. If you have a look at the trace pattern, you can see there are 10 shots. You can see how I'm dispersing slightly. I've got more tendency to go a little bit left, but there you go, that's me on today. Now, right, let's go up against the Epic Pro and see what difference that one makes. Right, numbers, same 10 shots again or so. 127 ball speed, so I think if I remember that was identical. 15.5 degrees of loft initial launch. 0.4 of a degree was that difference to the other one. Bear in mind these are the same statically lofted clubs, and I'm delivering within reason 0.4 of a degree, exactly the same as the one before. Tiny little pull this time, but it's like 0.6 off and then 0. I mean, that is as close to straight as you're going to get. 4833. Now this is the difference. Everything as they are, the Epic Pro, I noticed when I was hitting them, just didn't spin up as much. Now I thought as the data set gets bigger it would even itself out a little bit, but it didn't. So you're looking at the highest one there was not even quite 5.1, 5099, and that dropped down to 4.535, so just over 500 RPM through strike differences alone. Now don't get me wrong, this thing goes like a train, it really does. 32.3 is slightly higher than the JPX900 Forged, but not a great deal difference. 44.7, it's near enough identical when it comes to the descent angle as well, so it's borderline functional, but it's only spinning at 4.8, and it's that 300 RPM or just slightly more. It's just going to be a situation where you're just, everything is not helping you when you get to the other side and you want it to stop. Carry distance is 188. So if I have to go back to remember what the carry distance was in the 900 Forged, 186, 2 yards in it. There's basically no difference whatsoever, and that's the thing. There's, considering the cost, and 1.8 left. So if you go look at the look at the graphics, you could argue that the data set when it comes to the graphics will look a bit more sporadic when it comes to the Epic. Now, one thing that did bother me about the Epic is I had one shot in there, 196. Now, where did that one creep in? Considering my worst one was 183, 182. I had 183, 191, 193, 188, 182, 196. And that's the problem. I don't know where that, when I hit it, as soon as I hit it, I went, yeah, I've absolutely ripped it. Now I'm not swinging any faster, it was just pure contact alone. And that thing has carried out there 196. But if you look at how it's hit there up at 35.2 and 46.5 descent angle. Okay, it's not spinning so 4.8, but that's spinning really not bad considering its descent angle. And if I could hit them like that all the time, I would say that these Epics are amazingly good. The problem is I'm not hitting like that every single time, and I hit middle quite well. So if you're someone like a tour pro and you can bash the living hell out of the middle, then that's something that you could possibly think about using. They're just not functional for me to use, because on average they don't quite spin as much as already low-ish spinning 900 Forged. Now bear in mind, it's 2 yards between these vastly different cost-wise clubs. But you're not necessarily buying the Epic Pro because of its performance, because it performs as good as anything else out there. You're buying it because of a certain type of status when it comes to things. These are things like Rolex watches and very, very expensive fast cars. They're more status symbols than they're anything else. And if you're in that market, then yes, the Epic Pros are going to do the job. They are going to be a very functional, useful golf club, and they're going to look good as well. And people are going to know that you've got the Epic Pros. So hope you liked the video. If you did, click the like button below. Comment with what you'd like to say about the Epic Pro, or any kind of like comparison that I've done with the JPX900 Forged. Please, if you can do, click on the old subscription button over here. Helps the channel, and we'll see you again soon.